Good afternoon and welcome to the Marketplace. I am Sandra Sinamapeno. Bank of Ghana attributes rising fraud cases to improved supervision and sanctions rather than deteriorating financial sector. Ghana Union of Traders Association condemns Nigerian High Commission's threat of reprisal attacks on Ghanaian traders in Nigeria. Also coming up this afternoon, as Ghana prepares to reopen its borders on September 1, we will assess the travel and tour sector and their readiness. Details plus many more coming up after the break. Welcome back to the Marketplace. This afternoon, the Bank of Ghana is attributing rising fraud cases in the banking sector to improved supervision and sanctions rather than deteriorating financial sector. Reports on fraud cases in the banking sector shot up by 5% to reach 2,295 cases in 2019. This has led to concerns about the current stability of the banking system, with some expressing fear could be heading to another sector cleanup. We will hear from the Director of Financial Stability of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Fred Franz. But first, here's a report on the fraud situation in the banking sector.
The central bank, as part of these directives, is also asking all financial institutions to strictly monitor their staff on every transaction, as well as implement appropriate internal controls. To check the high rate of fraud, the various institutions are also being directed to review the working conditions and remuneration of staff based on aligned job functions. Know your customer systems at banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions should also be strengthened to help early detection and unusual transactions initiated on customers. Financial institutions are also required to install systems that would help track data on trends of all transactions on customers. The financial institutions are also required to install systems that would help better track trends on all transactions of their clients. For customers, the Bank of Ghana is advising them to be a little bit diligent and encourage them the use of electronic payment method that would have an audit trail of all transactions. Check printing houses are also not being left out of this, as the regulator has directed them to strictly abide by the Bank of Ghana's regulations that help check against the cloning of checks. The recommendations follow rising fraud cases in financial institutions, which hit 2,295 ending last year, representing a 5% jump over what was recorded in 2018. The report also showed that suppression of cash and issues relating to deposit accounted for the largest portion of fraud cases reported to the Bank of Ghana. These were valued at 160 million Ghana cedis. It also revealed that majority of these fraud were done by staff connected to these financial institutions. Now, this is coming at a time that the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, revealed that the recent mobile money fraud that hit majority of the banks were actually aided by internal staff. This has left many people asking whether the problem is about these staff not being paid well, or maybe they are just greedy.
Let's now hear from the Director of Financial Stability at the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Fred Franz, who disagrees with assertions that the banking sector could be heading towards another crisis.
Bank of Ghana will withdraw your license, put in the necessary measures to ensure that that runs seamlessly. And so it doesn't, because we look at it, and if your behavior will affect the financial system, why not? We sanction you, but I'm saying it's proportional. The sanction will be proportionate, and it must be in accordance with law. And it must be in accordance with the regulations that we have put out there. We will not just stand up and sanction you. We will go through the due process and sanction you accordingly.
Why are you not naming and shaming? I got from your interaction that, yes, we've sanctioned these individuals, banks individually. Maybe other markets. I remember recently Wells Fargo. I mean, in other markets, even with just a fraction of malpractice, they are heavy on you on the fines, and they tell the whole world that Wells Fargo is still indulging in practices that led to the collapse of the financial crisis. Maybe you are not. Why are you not naming and shaming?
Well, like I told you, we get the institutions to name themselves by putting out the sanctions, monetary sanctions, in their financial statements that they put out there. So yes, the institutions themselves will put out that we have been sanctioned by the central bank. So yes, that is where it starts. Other less sophisticated staff also have go through, or they get clearance from the Bank of Ghana through the database that we have. And depending on the level, key management personnel, for instance, you're supposed to have some strong clearance from the security agencies as you employ them or you engage them. So yes, there are levels of security protocols that you probably might want to have, or that the system requires you to have before you engage, and these we enforce them.
Doc, finally, are you optimistic and quite sure that going forward with all these structures that you put in place, we will see a minimization of these fraud cases, which will again go a long way to improve confidence in the sector?
I first and foremost want to assure the public and everyone that the financial system is strong, safe and sound. The Bank of Ghana has put up strong lenses and channels to unearth some of these things. Going forward, yes, as we continue to be as transparent as possible, as we continue to report all cases, as we continue to educate the public for them to observe all the security protocols, not to compromise their password, their pings, and so on and so forth. Hopefully there should be a reduction of fraud cases in the financial system.
Now, the Nigerian government has served a notice it may drag Ghana to the Community Court of Justice of ECOWAS for breach of protocols it says allow its citizens to move freely. Its Foreign Affairs Minister, Geoffrey Onyeoma, says the country's Charge Affair Office in Ghana has been summoned to Nigeria to provide full details of the alleged harassment of its citizens involved in the retail market.
The GIPC Act, which is the Ghana Investment Promotion Act, which bars non-Ghanaian, according to the local law, from engaging into retail trading, which as at 1994 was pegged at 300,000 United States dollars for such person willing to, go into such trade, to invest such amount in equity or in cash, which was later reviewed to 1 million United States dollars on the 26th of August 2013 through the Act of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. That is where we are now. We are no longer at 300,000 US dollars. We are now at 1 million United States dollars. Whereas, as we know, Ghanaian traders, Ghanaian fishermen, Ghanaian petty traders, Ghanaian hawkers, Ghanaian taxi drivers, Ghanaian citizens are here in Nigeria, in every nooks and crannies of our country, living peacefully by the protection, under the protection of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and in keeping with the spirit and letters of the ECOWAS protocol for ECOWAS citizens. Whereas Ghanaian citizens in Nigeria are enjoying unfettered access to our economy, to our units, to whatever we are doing, without any form of harassment. It is shocking that in Ghana now, Nigerians in Ghana are not given such equal opportunity under the same protocol of ECOWAS, and this is very instructive for our government. I think we should begin to look at what we have to do in that regard. Well, for now, we may have to look at, while we look at the immediate solution, we want to thank the Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs and Mr. President for the good work people are doing. I want to believe that with concerted efforts and more collaboration and more efforts, I want to believe that maybe things will improve. But first, we need to de-escalate the tension. Tension is very high in Ghana. Our citizens are afraid now. We do not want to see a situation whereby somebody will get killed in the process. which will now lead to, more disturbing development. We also need to see beyond what they had told us. We will appreciate more steps taken in this regard to really engage the government, possibly one-on-one in the days ahead, and to see how best this matter will be resolved. We want to sincerely thank you. Of course, it is important to put it on record, Excellency, that even our Nigerian traders in Ghana have also shown express appreciation to the efforts of federal government. They are aware of the works of the ministry and what the federal government is doing, and they're equally hopeful that with God's help that there will be solution. They are our citizens, and their interest is also of utmost priority to our government.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, has described as unreasonable threats by the Nigerian High Commission in Ghana to invoke reprisal attack on Ghanaian traders in Nigeria. This, according to the commission, is to condemn the closure of shops of some Nigerian traders at Opera Square.
The ECOWAS treaty itself dwells on the goods that are produced in this country so that it will enhance on the productivity of the sub-regional grouping. And so if you go outside this peripheral and then wanting to do import from outside the confines of the ECOWAS community, then the local laws are telling you that do this and this and that, for which these people are refusing to oblige.
Over the past 25 years, we have seen so much wranglings between yourself, locals, and that of the foreigners. Closure of shops has been the norm. We got in touch with the Trade Minister, Alan Tremantin, and together with the GIPC Chief Executive, Yofi Grant, and one message, goes through their submissions. We must deal with this with diplomacy, they claim. It suggests that the closure of shops, the entire demonstrations and things are not diplomatic enough to deal with the matter.
What is the essence of democracy? We are being civil on our demand. We haven't killed or maimed anybody. We haven't burnt anybody's shops. Elsewhere, other countries have been doing that as their demand. We do not do that. We have never done that before. There's no evidence to suggest that. We have been civil on our demand, and we have been consistent. It is only about the last few months that we have reached our tolerance levels to the extent that we did a semblance of the breach of the law. But that is not, because the Constitution itself tells us that if there's a law that is enshrined in the Constitution that is not being applied, the citizens have the right to make sure that it's being enforced. And that's exactly what we did by closing the shops of these people, to show as a signal. Now it has come to the realization by the state that they have to enforce the law because of some of these actions.
But speaking of the actions, we've also had people raise concerns about the security implications it could have moving forward. You're having cases where there could possibly be an insurgent and a reprisal attacks as well. Do you factor all these things in before you take your actions?
Reprisal attacks on what? We haven't made any uncivilized attack on anybody, and no country will use even that method. If laws are there, we are talking about laws. What the state apparatus is doing now is to enforce the laws that is enshrined in our Constitution. And so how can somebody say that we are making a reprisal attack unless they are also enforcing their local laws for which they have every right? So if they have a law, we are not saying, because nations are built around laws. A nation without law is like a jungle. These problems are coming because the law that have been clearly defined by our parliament and all that is not being observed. That's why there's semblance of a breach of peace.
So do you feel that there's been a breach in diplomacy?
What I'm saying is that if any other country have a similar law that seeks to protect its economy, protect its citizens, or otherwise, Nigeria cited security as part of closing its borders because it's very important and it's on priority to them. We are talking about economy and our citizens.
Do you feel government is not
even us, we are not being allowed to excessively import.
Away from that, some poultry farmers in the Punkatamanso municipality say the negative impact of COVID-19 offers an opportunity to develop the sector with homegrown ideas. Ghana spends millions of cedis annually importing soya beans, among other ingredients needed to produce poultry feed. The situation is even worse for farmers who feed their birds with 100% plant protein. This trend, the poultry farmers fear, could spell doom for Ghana in the event of another disease outbreak. Correspondent Kwame Yanka has more in this report.
Some of the farmers Joy Business visited include Stadon, Delaware, and Mensa Farms. For Mensa Farms, it had virtually closed down due to the impact of COVID-19. While sales was good for some farmers during the lockdown and its aftermath, it was a nightmare for others. Chief Executive Officer of Delaware Farms, Ewuku Edu, says farmers need a stimulus package to grow more broilers locally.
Immediately, the government should look at the crop farmers, maize, then soybean. The broiler feed is about 90% maize and soybean. So if we can get cheaper maize and cheaper soybean, honestly, we can compete with any import. And the moment the government looks at the crop side, obviously, indirectly, it will affect us. We also have a cheaper product, and the Ghanaian consumer can afford buying the chicken from here, just as much as they are paying for the imported one. Especially because the more we expand, there will be more broiler production, and when there's more broiler production, there will be more processing plants, and we will employ a lot of people, a huge number.
According to Ewuku Edu, soft loans for farmers will go a long way to help them expand and employ more.
Last 2 years, I took some loans from Exim Bank to retool my land. I needed money for equipment, and I've been paying, but not too because of the challenges on the farm. Fortunately, when this thing came, they've called me. They said they are going to renegotiate with us so that they give us 6 months more moratorium, so that we don't pay anything, for us to be able to organize well and then pay over a 3-year period, which I think is very good for us. It is extremely good. Because most of the money I took, they were for equipment. But now I need operational cash, seriously. It's like what Exim is doing. You see, Exim, they are giving us special rates of interest. You see, the main commercial banks, it's too high. You can't succeed in that.
Meanwhile, Ajwa Donko of Stardon Farms says due to the lack of capacity, they are unable to meet market demands.
A week before the lockdown, that was when people bought most. So we had to sell the old layers, we had to sell the few broilers that we have, and we have to sell the eggs. So after the lockdown, people still were buying the product, they were still coming. But we didn't have as much egg as before because we sold the old layers, some of the old layers. So,
it's been almost 6 months since Ghana's borders were shut to passenger traffic. This was part of government's strategy to contain the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. But looks like the skies will soon be open following President Akufo-Addo's announcement of a possible reopening of the country's airports. Currently, stakeholders are being engaged to ascertain the reopening of Ghana's airport by September 1. But how prepared is one of the hardest hit sectors, which is the travel and tour sector? I've been joined by Sawa Boating Bene, who is the sales manager of Adansi Travels Limited. Thanks so much for your time this afternoon, Sawa.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be on Joy, and good afternoon.
Yes, finally, there's some good news, right?
Yes. I told you the secret, right?
And so how are you receiving this news? September 1 is the date that government is looking at reopening the borders. How is that going to pan out for stakeholders and also for players in the industry?
We have been very optimistic about customers' desire to travel, and we're keeping our fingers crossed, waiting for September 1. There are a lot of customers that we are waiting to welcome into Ghana to explore our beautiful country. And also there are a lot more who wants to go out there and do some business and bring income home. So we've been positive, and our clients are just waiting to hit the skies.
All right, so this possibility of reopening the borders will largely depend on the outcome of the consultation that is currently ongoing. But how are you preparing towards that reopening? I mean, packages, a lot of people have been hit hard by this COVID, and we are likely to see fares going up. What do you anticipate will be the likely effect on the interest to travel, for instance?
Well, we have always struck deals, very good deals with airlines. Now, some of the major worries of our clients, as you mentioned, is the cost. And cost is usually always dependent on demand and supply. We've been at home for 6 months. And so when the borders open, for safety, we are very confident of all the measures that has been put in place. And so we know that the consumer confidence will be restored. We are hopeful that if you contact agencies as reputable as Adansi Travels, we can get you a very good deal with the airlines. So
that one, I'm going to bring you a bill for advertising right on my show. But away from that, I know a lot of countries are putting in measures to, welcome tourists into their countries. Some time back, we've seen a lot of countries being blacklisted or being restricted from entering certain countries. With the way we are managing our COVID issues, which destinations are people likely to show interest, and who do you think will be willing to accept Ghanaian tourists based on the way we are managing our COVID issues?
Oh, there are so many destinations. We currently have Dubai. Dubai is accepting Ghanaians. We have since June been selling packages to other Asian countries, and we are also very confident. There's a lot more people that have also contacted us that also want to come to Ghana, and so we put up local packages as well for Ghana. So there are a lot more countries that are open. Singapore is opening, ready to welcome Ghanaians, and so there are numerous destinations. UK TLS Center is currently working, open for visa applications. Yes.
All right. I know certainly things will never be the same when it comes to traveling. What measures are you putting in place as an agency to protect your customers?
We have always sold insurance as part of our packages. And so now what we are hammering home is safety. So we are making sure that all our clients are going to be on insurance on all of our travel packages. We are also contacting our partners and making sure that every destination, airport, hotel, whatever it is, sticking to the international standard of the protocols for COVID. We are giving our clients safety packs that includes masks and sanitizers.
Interesting.
We are working on physical distancing. So safety is number one, and we will never go to any destination or a place that do not abide by the international COVID protocols.
All right, so I'm grateful as always for your time this afternoon. I can't wait to travel, and we wait for September 1 and see how it goes. Thanks so much for your time, and that's how we wrap up for the Marketplace this afternoon on the Joy News channel. I am Sandra Esinam, and there's always news on myjoyonline.com/business. Thanks so much for your time and have a great afternoon.